Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. The suspected killer of Charlie Kirk is Tyler Robinson, age 22, out of Utah. This is what the Utah authorities had to say in this morning's press conference.
Consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow," and a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement.
Go ahead and smash that like button if you agree freedom of speech and debate are sacred. This was one of the most un-American acts in all of American history. They used thousands of tips, hundreds of video angles to identify the suspect, from being a small little dot on the rooftop to following him all the way to his home with cameras. He was turned in by his own father. Apparently, Tyler Robinson at the dinner table, about a week before Charlie Kirk showed up, was saying Charlie Kirk causes division, spreads hate, was talking about how Charlie Kirk needed to die. This concerned his father, and after he thought he recognized him in all the surveillance video and the uploaded video of people that were there, he realized it was his own son, and his son had used a family gun. Now, that gun was an old World War II Mauser that had been converted to 30-06 and placed on a synthetic black stock with a modern scope. Clearly, Tyler Robinson grew up like the rest of us, shooting, hunting. He was skilled with guns. This was nothing more than someone that was angry at a political activist coming to his town, so he grabbed a gun that he had in his house, went out, and popped him. A lot of you think this is some big conspiracy through Israel, or that they're trying to drag us into another war, that they're trying to start a civil war. Hey, the government doesn't have to try to start a civil war. This country has been divided for decades anyways. Some of you are just waking up to how upset the other Americans have been. And I'm happy to report that if he's found guilty, he's going to be facing Utah's death penalty. I hope he gets the firing squad. Conspiracy theorists cannot accept the reality of firearms. That some kid that grew up shooting or hunting can take up that same rifle and go sit on a rooftop in a prone position and shoot someone that's sitting still. I don't know why you're pro-gun if you don't understand the lethality of guns and that this is how it works. Am I advocating for assassinations? No. But let's say that this was some kind of invading army and it was a Chinese official. Let's say China invaded America and you have some Chinese official or general addressing the American crowd. Would any of you be mad if a peasant picked up whatever he could and dropped that official? I don't think you would. So let's not attack the Second Amendment just because it was misused. This is what Donald Trump had to say this morning on Fox and Friends.
Clarification, so a pastor was able to turn him in, or they got the family of the shooter to turn them in?
Well, it was a minister, and the minister went to a minister who was involved with law enforcement, by the way. And his good friend is a top U.S. Marshal. And they took it from there. And then it was a father got involved, namely his father, and said, "We got to go in." And they, so I understand it. And again, subject to change. But, you know, the facts are the facts. We have the person that we think is the person we're looking for. But they drove into the police headquarters, and he's there now.
Did the father know about what the son had done?
I don't know. I'm going to let you get all those questions later because I can't tell you how accurate. The bottom line is they have somebody that they think did it.
So, Mr. President.
Now, I never met Charlie Kirk, but as I said in previous videos, he followed me on my huge TikTok that I had, and he followed me on my Twitter account that I had. He agreed with me that all gun control is unconstitutional. All gun laws are unconstitutional. Guys, I can tell you right now that if he had survived this incident, he would still be pro-gun. Americans use their guns about 2.5 million times a year, and this is old FBI statistics, to defend themselves from criminals with their firearms. We're not going to create 2.5 million victims a year. We're not going to put the elderly at risk of the strong, the average person at risk of the strong, women and children at risk of the strong. It's great to be a strong guy, but that's not a constitutional right, and it doesn't protect everyone. Guns are a constitutional right, and they do protect everyone. We've got over 400 million guns in this country, around 25 trillion rounds of ammunition, 1 billion magazines. You're never going to come and take all of our guns. Nobody's going to turn in their guns. You need to start having armed security at schools. Plain and simple. Why do we guard our banks with armed security but not our children? Do you value your money and gold more than your children? I am happy to see the authorities catch this guy in under 48 hours. And I just want to reiterate, I think the Second Amendment exists so that we can fight tyranny at any level, whether it be on the street level or someone at the top, whether it be a foreign or domestic tyrannical army or government. That's what the Second Amendment is for, plain and simple. Charlie Kirk was not a tyrant or fascist. Charlie Kirk was a free speech advocate. He is not the type of person the founders intended to get shot. But Charlie Kirk would have told you himself that there's going to be some fatalities with guns in order for everyone to have guns and be safe with them. Just like everyone has to drive a car, we're not going to get rid of cars because people get ran over on purpose. For those wondering about my credibility to be talking about this, well, I was a gunsmith. I still am a gunsmith. I've been hunting all of my life, at least 20 years of my 32 years of life. I own more guns than you can imagine. I have built more guns than you can imagine, shot more guns than you can imagine. I'm going to inherit more guns than you can imagine. Guns are part of my everyday way of life, period. I live in the countryside. We also use them as tools for handling varmints, for hunting. It's for self-defense, but ultimately the Second Amendment does not protect those things because these things were common sense before the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment exists so that we can fight back against tyranny. But it doesn't mean that some misplaced idiot, some idiot that doesn't understand his own position, wouldn't go and use it in a bad way. But that can be said about any object. We don't need to be calling for gun control. We need to be calling for more armed security, more vigilant security. We're not going to create millions of victims. What are you going to do? Ban bolt actions now? Calling them high-powered rifles? You know, I saw this coming years ago when they first talked about the rapid fire rate of rifles and how lethal the 223 5.56 was, which it is. But then they started noticing the bolt actions like I always thought they would. God forbid they figure out what a lever action can do. This is the point of the Second Amendment, even though I disagree with who was shot. If we were actually under real tyranny, a real occupation by a bad government, a bad army, you would not be against lone guerrilla fighters. We're upset about this because someone innocent, someone pro-Constitution, a civilian that was far within the law, that was patient with his enemies and let them speak, was shot at a campus in front of 3,000 people. And even worse, he was shot in front of his wife and children. His daughter ran towards him because she was scared of the noise. And those of you celebrating this, you should feel absolutely disgusted with yourself. Once again, I will say, if you are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, if you are celebrating a free speech advocate being shot in the middle of sacred debate, using his sacred free speech, you don't deserve to be in my country. I hope that you get deported. I hope that you get kicked out. I don't care if you're native born here. You didn't value his rights for his native born rights. Why should I value yours? There's enough difference and division in this country as it is. We don't really need you trying to make us hate you.